Welcome to the Missionaries of the Precious Blood podcast. Our guest today is Father Tim McFarland, who teaches at Calumet College of St. Joseph in Hammond, Indiana. Father Tim was ordained several years ago. I'll let him tell his story. But welcome, Father Tim. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you, Patrick.
Okay, first of all, can you tell us how long you've been a missionary of the Precious Blood when you were ordained, and just tell us a little bit about Calumet College.
Okay, I was ordained 41 years ago, and spent almost all of my priesthood in the Ministry of Higher Education. First at St. Joseph's College down in Rensselaer, Indiana, and then I've been here as a professor of theology at Calumet College here in Hammond. I'm entering my fourth year now.
Great. And tell us a little bit about Calumet College.
Calumet College was founded in 1951 up here in the area that we call the region, and it was originally an extension of St. Joseph's College in Rensselaer, and it was one of the first ones in the area to grant baccalaureate degrees. They came here to help empower students who were looking to further their education. And as we started, it was mainly non-traditional students, or what we consider adult students. In 1973, we became independent, had our own accreditation, and the number of adult students, non-traditional students as we call them, had declined because there were other, the onset of like the University of Phoenix, a lot of online. And so, but the number of our traditional students is on the increase, and due in large part to student athletes. We started our athletic program here about 22 years ago, and that's responsible for a large percentage of our student population. Our student body is really diverse, both ethnically and religiously. So we are a very diverse student body, and that's one of the things that I really like about teaching here at Calumet College.
And what courses do you primarily teach?
I teach a couple of theology courses in our general education program. These are required of all students. We do a course in social justice, and then one that we call Search for Ultimate Meaning, kind of ask the ultimate questions, trying to get students to reflect on their own spirituality and values that will guide them later in life.
So you're in a unique position in that you teach college-age students. So what challenges do college students face in maintaining their faith during their academic journey?
Well, this has been true throughout my career in higher ed, that a lot of times students use their college years to kind of re-explore and kind of what they're looking at in terms of what they want to choose as their own particular religious tradition. A lot of times what I found, particularly in the residential campus, is that, for our Sunday masses, at the start of the year, we'd have a lot of students, and then it kind of declines as they're kind of reevaluating. And then what I found, like about senior year, they begin to kind of pick that up again. And here at Calumet, it's a little different because we are primarily a commuter school. We have a small residence hall of about 60 beds, and then a master lease on an apartment where we've got about another 60. So students, the challenge of helping students, with faith or anything is kind of problematic because they're not here on campus. But I do see some of the same things in terms of the college population where, college is often the time to reevaluate religious commitments.
Real okay, that's interesting. So you mentioned that it's a diverse student population there. How do you approach evangelization on a diverse college campus?
It's one that's kind of a term used in campus ministry, the ministry of presence. We try to, myself and our campus minister, try to just hang out like in our common areas, uh, chat with students after class, and so it's just trying to be available. And by being available, students I think feel more comfortable in talking about these things. As a result of some class and then just kind of being around, it's helpful. They feel comfortable and hopefully will use us to kind of think about their own religious and spiritual connections.
The missionaries of the precious blood have a specific charism. So how do you work that charism into your interaction with students?
A couple of the things. One of them is our charism of reconciliation. In classes, we try to help students to see other ways of solving problems, not only personal problems, but as we look at society at large, trying to heal some of the divisions. The other thing that we try to do here is to focus on social justice, respecting the dignity of each person. And that's has been kind of part of our mission because our students tend to be, like I say, diverse populations. A lot of them were non-traditional, and seeing education as a way of furthering themselves and helping them to better provide. But we look at what each person brings to the table, so to speak, in trying to see how we can respect the dignity of each person.
So, are there common spiritual struggles among college students?
Yeah, a lot of them. In fact, I was just talking about this in my class yesterday. One of the struggles that I think they all face is trying to find their place in the world. And part of it is like choosing a major that they are going to feel happy about and fulfilled. And I think a lot of them, there's a sense, and this is brought a lot about by the COVID, looking at trying to form some type of a community. Like I said, when with campus ministry, in trying to minister to students, it's kind of difficult because our students, they come in for class and then go. So we try to instill as much as we can through various activities a sense of community.
So you mentioned in that along that line, what kind of spiritual formation programs do you have on campus?
There's really not a whole lot, to be honest with you. Again, because of students are just here for classes. We do have, and we've done for a number of years, what we call the Busy Student or Busy Persons Retreat, where our vocation director, in this case Father Angelo, will come up and spend a week. And so students will sign up. They are given like a scripture passage to read, and then they meet like with a half hour at their convenience with Father Angelo to try to just talk about where they're at in their relationship with God and in their own life. And we try to do some prayer services, like during Lent, some of the traditional Stations of the Cross. We also do like a monthly Mass. We just had the other day our Mass of the Holy Spirit, in which we had a good number of people in our little chapel here. So we try to do a number of things, throw them out there, and see what works.
Do you address secular issues that often challenge Catholic beliefs?
Oh yeah. And we do look at, rather than seeing like so often in our country today, the divisions, is seeing that in some of the secular beliefs, there are some common ground that we can kind of connect. And it's also not only for religiously affiliated students, but also from those students who don't have any religious preference, to offer them some things that, I could, buy this. I can accept this.
So Calumet it's a Catholic university, it's a Catholic college, but is its student population primarily Catholic?
No. Even like University of Notre Dame, they're maybe like about 50% Catholic, and that's a rough guess. Here, We have run in the history like in the upper 30s to 40% Catholic, and what's happening now is the data that we collect, students are choosing not to answer those, like religious questions and even ethnic questions, and so it's really hard to get a handle on, like the percentage of our student population that is Catholic or other religious denominations.
Okay, so regardless of whether they're Catholic or not, how do you encourage students who may be struggling with their faith one way or the other?
Well, that's one of the things that we do in that ultimate meaning course. It's just kind of wide open. I really try to, make an emphasis on some of what we would call the spiritual qualities. It's more of like our interior life, and that's, for those who are religious, they can buy into that, and those who are not, they can see, invite them to see, to think about what we can do to further that interior life so that we lead a balanced life.
So, what do you believe? Is there an effective way to reach students who are not actively practicing their faith or any faith at all?
Well, unfortunately, the trend of non-attendance at religious services is not just unique to Catholics. That number of those who keep my eye on surveys, and that number has gone way down. I think the latest one, it was like 68% were participating, and that's gone down to about 40s. And that's not just exclusive of Catholics. It's all around. I think there's a number of things that are going on there, and I ask my students about that too. When I present all these studies, and I say, why is it that you think that, particularly among young people, that they don't belong or don't participate in religious service? And I said, it's not unique to Catholics. And some of the responses I get from them are like, they're so busy, there's not the time that they, like the older generations would have. And that is a lot of it. And again, like I say, what I see in our students is that they're reevaluating, their own kind of commitments as they examine their lives, and they're learning about all kinds of things in their majors and other courses, and it's just a time of learning. And so I think that's also a part of their own religious affiliation and beliefs.
So do you give them advice about discerning vocations, or whether that's to religious life, marriage, or a different path?
That one I really don't touch, because I say, some of the students I will know their religious affiliation, but by and large I really don't know a lot unless we talk, they share that. So yeah, that's I would like to, and I think that was when I was on the residential campus. I was interacting with students more and would know, and so I would invite them, and several of the members of our community now came to us through St. Joseph's College.
You're a professor, so you'll hear the conversation among college students. You'll hear about things that they're discussing, whether it's current events or spirituality or religion. Do those comments or that feedback that you get from students influence? So your role as a professor, does that influence your ministry or how you would tend to their spiritual needs?
Well, I think that is a part of what I see as my ministry in higher education. Certainly there's, material, ideas, theories that, are important, I think, to instill in students. But I also see my role more as, again, kind of bringing that idea of balance. So that's, it's not just here, but it's also here in the heart. And so when I get the opportunities, particularly like in that ultimate meaning class, I try to encourage them to share their own kind of struggles with one another. And as I say, that we can all grow from that. But I'm concerned, as an academic who is a priest, this is a ministry trying to focus on the whole person, not only mind, but also soul or heart.
So do you I guess I'm asking, what does the role, what is the sacrament of what role does the sacrament of reconciliation play in the spiritual life of students, and how do you promote it?
Not much.
Okay.
And I think that's would be not just applying to college students. There are some places that I've helped out in ministry where there's a crowd for sacrament reconciliation. But in our publicity and in our orientation materials, we always put that I'm available for the sacrament of reconciliation. And I've had a couple of students, that will come up to the office and, wish to receive the sacrament. But like I say, by and large, now there are exceptions, like some of the places where I was subbing in Ohio, I heard a lot of confessions. But like I say, around this area, I don't. I just help for Sunday masses, and at the college, it's not that much.
Well, you mentioned social justice issues a bit earlier. How do you incorporate social justice issues into your ministry with students, and what are some of the social justice issues that they're talking about today?
Well, like I said, one of the required theology courses in our general education, which almost all students take, focuses on social justice, and we utilize obviously the social teaching of the Catholic Church. And here, given the racial makeup that we have, students have experienced in their own lives the effects of discrimination, of not having equal access to things, and so they can really identify with that. And that has been kind of like part of our mission here at Calumet for a number of years, and I think in large part because of where we are as an urban university, just south of Chicago, and given the racial makeup, that students have experienced these assaults, perhaps themselves, and have seen assaults to human dignity.
So, how do you prepare students to live their faith after they leave college and enter the workforce?
I guess it's kind of what we try to do in that ultimate meaning course, looking at faith. What is it that they value? Number one, is there at the base level, do you believe that there's something more to life than, doing the job, making money, which is obviously necessary, but seeing, something beyond, when we say, something transcendent in their lives. And that's something I think that students can identify with as they seek into what we call, like the spirituality now.
So tell me a little bit about the ultimate meaning course, if you could summarize that in I don't know, in a paragraph or two.
We look at kind of like the ultimate questions. Like next week, we're going to grapple with the whole problem of evil. How do we come to terms with the presence of evil in a world that we believe that God created good? We look at the impact of culture, and I have them kind of say what they're individually they learn from their culture, and then we share that in the class to see different things. And that's always a fun class. We look at what are the values that could come from from our own spirituality, with our relationship with God, or just in a secular society. How can we see something beyond the here and now?
And have you ever gotten any answers or any responses or comments from students that really surprise you?
After about 35 years in higher ed, there's not much that surprises me these days. But there is some, it's a different take on some of these ultimate questions.
What are some of the most rewarding aspects of ministering to college students, and what gives you hope for the future of the church?
I see the life that they bring. Uh, there's an enthusiasm, an optimism for the most part among students, and the growth that takes place. Like I had a student as a freshman, and then see them in their senior year to see how they've changed, how they've grown. That is one of the most rewarding aspects of being in higher education. And some of them, like I say, they come in, like questioning faith, and I encourage them to do that, to make the faith, whatever it is, their own.
Okay, well, Father Tim McFarland, thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss? Is there anything else I haven't asked you that you think would be a salient point of discussion?
One of the things, how I kind of got interested in this whole spiritual religious thing, it came from a book that was published in the late 90s by Donna Freitas. It was called Sex and the Soul. And what she did in there, which kind of got me interested, and I even taught a course in that a couple times at St. Joe, was seeing that she interviewed a lot of students at a number of universities, like public, Catholic, evangelical, and what she found in there was that spirituality or religion really had little to do with how they experienced their sexuality. No difference from Catholic to public. And so that's what's kind of really gotten me interested in this. I keep following up on that in terms of, like how does religion impact students' life? And the influence of religion is kind of declining. I'd say that's not just among Catholic students, but college students, but it's also among adults too. Like I say, the decline in those who will say they are religious across the board is there. But what has happened is this idea of spirituality, where it's more kind of an individual. Some may call it cafeteria style, but they, it's for an individual need of seeing something beyond what's going to give meaning and purpose to life. That has really grown since I've been kind of keeping my eye on the research in this in the last 20 years.
Do they make a different? What's the differentiation between being spiritual and being religious?
One of the ways with spirituality is that it is more kind of an individualized approach to what we would call in the tradition, the interior life. Religion for a lot of students, it brings up just like these are rules and we got to follow these rules, and they don't see the inner life, particularly like the community aspect. One of the downfalls about spirituality is that, if there's no challenge or support to the ideas that someone comes, it can go way off kilter, like we witnessed in some of the cults of the old days, And so that is, I think, one of the pluses of religion is that it has a community that we share with, that we can feel challenged, that we feel supported. In spirituality, it is more of an individualized approach, but we can, it's lacking in that community. So the balance between the individualism or the individual approach and the communal aspects is one that I try to instill, at least invite students to think about.
Okay. All right. Well, Father McFarland, this has been a fascinating conversation. I appreciate your time and your interest in joining us. If you want to check out the Calumet College, where should people go? What's your website address and how do we get in contact with Calumet?
Website is www.ccsj.edu.
All right. Thank you very much, Father Tim McFarland. All right. Thank you. We will hope to follow up with you later.
Okay, thanks again.
All right. Thank you, Father McFarland.